You understand me? Strike her! Strike her!
Of course you did, and the law says you have the right to hold a nigga. But begging the law's pardon, it lies.
12 Years a Slave is more than just a film. It's a cinematic masterpiece, a brutal look at one of the darkest chapters in human history, and an unflinching reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Directed by Steve McQueen, this Academy Award-winning movie brought the true story of Solomon Northup to life with heartbreaking realism and unforgettable performances. From the authentic depiction of slavery's horrors to Lupita Nyong'o's Oscar-winning breakout role, the movie left audiences shaken, educated, and deeply moved. But how much do we really know about the story behind this iconic film? What challenges did the cast and crew endure to bring this harrowing tale to the screen? How did Lupita Nyong'o and Michael Fassbender push themselves to their emotional limits for their roles? And why did lead actor Chiwetel Ejiofor nearly walk away from the project? In this video, we'll explore 20 powerful secrets behind 12 Years a Slave. From the emotional toll it took on those involved to the incredible lengths taken to ensure its historical authenticity. By the end, you'll see why this film remains one of the most important stories ever told on screen. Let's get started. Steve McQueen was inspired to direct 12 Years a Slave after his wife recommended the book. The inspiration behind 12 Years a Slave came from a surprising and deeply personal source, Steve McQueen's wife, Bianca Stigter. She introduced McQueen to Solomon Northup's memoir, 12 Years a Slave, a work she discovered while researching historical narratives about slavery. McQueen was astounded, not just by the story's harrowing details, but by the fact that he, a black man, had never heard of it before. He was shocked at how little known Northup's memoir was, even though it was one of the most detailed first-hand accounts of American slavery ever published. McQueen described the experience as a wake-up call. How could this treasure of history go untold on screen? It was at that moment he felt deeply compelled to bring this extraordinary story to life, believing it was a story that had to be told. Steve McQueen always wanted to make a film about slavery. However, finding the right angle, setting, or character proved challenging. Although he brainstormed ideas for years, he struggled to find a perspective that would connect emotionally with audiences. It wasn't until he learned about Solomon Northup's journey that it all clicked. In Northup, McQueen saw the perfect protagonist, a free black man, born with liberty, who could vividly convey the brutal dehumanization of enslavement when that liberty was ripped away. The personal nature of Northup's story allowed McQueen to explore slavery from an intimate, first-person perspective, capturing both the horrors of bondage and the resilience of the human spirit. The memoir's visceral detail gave McQueen the foundation he needed to create a film that was not only emotional, but also authentically rooted in history. When Steve McQueen decided to adapt 12 Years a Slave, there was only one actor he envisioned as Solomon Northup, Chiwetel Ejiofor. With a remarkable ability to convey depth and vulnerability, Ejiofor seemed perfect for the role. However, when McQueen first approached him, Ejiofor hesitated. The actor felt the immense weight of the story and feared he might not do the role justice. Ejiofor worried about whether he could realistically embody the pain and strength required to portray Northup's 12-year ordeal. McQueen, however, didn't take no for an answer. He sat Ejiofor down and explained how important this role would be, not just to his career, but to the legacy of Northup's story. After much persuasion and personal reflection, Ejiofor finally agreed, delivering a powerhouse performance that earned him widespread acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. Casting the role of Patsy, a young enslaved woman whose story was integral to Solomon Northup's journey, was one of the most critical and emotionally daunting tasks for Steve McQueen. Hundreds of actresses auditioned, but it was Lupita Nyong'o's raw and deeply emotional performance during her audition that immediately set her apart. For Nyong'o, who was fresh out of drama school at Yale and completely unknown in Hollywood, this role represented her opportunity to prove herself. The challenge of portraying Patsy, a character subjected to unspeakable brutality, required vulnerability, strength, and a deep emotional connection, all of which Nyong'o brought to the table. Her performance in the final film was so powerful that it won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, making her one of Hollywood's breakout stars. 12 Years a Slave remains her first and most defining role. Steve McQueen was adamant that 12 Years a Slave reflect the horrors of slavery without compromise. He believed Hollywood too often softened or glamorized the reality of American slavery, and he was determined not to repeat that mistake. McQueen wanted the film to confront audiences with the full brutality of the system, ensuring no one could look away or minimize the suffering endured by millions. Scenes like the torturous whipping of Patsy and Solomon's near hanging were filmed with unflinching realism to fully immerse the audience in the cruelty of slavery. McQueen often said he saw making this film as a responsibility to history, refusing to sugarcoat any part of Northup's experience. While Brad Pitt's role as Samuel Bass, the Canadian abolitionist who helps free Solomon Northup, was relatively small in screen time, his impact behind the scenes was enormous. Pitt's production company, Plan B Entertainment, was instrumental in helping 12 Years a Slave get made. Upon reading the script, Pitt believed in the project's importance and lent his star power to secure funding and distribution deals. His presence also helped elevate the film's profile, ensuring it would reach a wider audience. For Pitt, this role wasn't about fame, it was about supporting a story that deserved to be told. He later called 12 Years a Slave one of the most important projects he'd been involved in throughout his career. Michael Fassbender, who had previously worked with Steve McQueen on the movies Hunger and Shame, was McQueen's first choice to play Edwin Epps, the violent and morally bankrupt plantation owner. Fassbender dove headfirst into the role, refusing to soften Epps in any way. He embraced the character's sadism with such commitment that his performance became one of the most terrifying aspects of the film. Fassbender later said he wanted the audience to fully despise Epps, as anything less would dilute the film's message. Even though playing such a monstrous character took an emotional toll, Fassbender's performance earned him widespread critical acclaim and an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Lupita Nyong'o's portrayal of Patsy was one of the standout elements of 12 Years a Slave. Tasked with embodying both unbearable pain and quiet resilience, Nyong'o completely transformed for the role. Her performance in intense scenes, such as the one where Patsy begs Solomon to kill her, moved audiences and critics alike. Despite this being her first feature film, Nyong'o showed an emotional depth that few seasoned actors could rival. Her performance brought her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, making her the first Kenyan to win an Oscar and catapulting her to international stardom. Many critics cite her work in 12 Years a Slave as one of the finest acting debuts in modern cinema. To immerse himself fully in the character of Solomon Northup, Chiwetel Ejiofor undertook extensive preparation, including learning to play the violin. The real Solomon Northup had been a skilled violinist who used his musical talents both as a source of income and as a means to survive in the harsh conditions of slavery. Ejiofor wanted to honor that part of Northup's identity by authentically portraying his musical ability. He practiced tirelessly to ensure his violin playing looked natural and convincing on screen. For Ejiofor, this wasn't about technical accuracy alone. It was about capturing the essence of Northup as a multifaceted, talented individual who refused to be entirely stripped of his humanity, even in the darkest moments. To ensure authenticity, Steve McQueen and his team chose to film 12 Years a Slave on actual plantations in Louisiana. Locations like Felicity Plantation and Magnolia Plantation had real ties to the period of slavery, grounding the film in its historical setting. The decision to use these sites brought another layer of emotional weight to the production. Many cast and crew members described feeling haunted while working on land where enslaved people had once lived, labored, and suffered. Being surrounded by such powerful reminders of history motivated everyone to handle the story with care and respect. The plantations themselves became silent characters in the film, embodying the horrific legacy of slavery in America. The Louisiana heat made filming 12 Years a Slave physically and emotionally exhausting for the entire cast and crew. Summer temperatures often soared above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 38 degrees Celsius, making outdoor scenes particularly challenging. Many actors, including Chiwetel Ejiofor and Lupita Nyong'o, had to perform in heavy period costumes while filming emotionally and physically intense scenes, such as field labor or punishment sequences. The relentless heat and humidity created a sense of discomfort that mirrored, in a small way, the hardships faced by enslaved people. This environment added an additional layer of authenticity to the film, but tested the endurance of everyone involved in the production. One of the most unforgettable and harrowing moments in 12 Years a Slave is the scene in which Patsy is brutally whipped, a sequence that took an immense toll on the cast and crew. Lupita Nyong'o, Michael Fassbender, and Chiwetel Ejiofor all struggled emotionally while filming, with Nyong'o admitting it left her deeply shaken for days. To ensure realism, fake but realistic techniques were used, but the emotional agony on screen was entirely real. Director Steve McQueen pushed for multiple takes to fully capture the trauma and brutality of slavery, a decision that, while necessary for the film's impact, was described as mentally grueling for everyone on set. Unlike many films based on historical figures, 12 Years a Slave stayed remarkably true to Solomon Northup's original 1853 memoir. Screenwriter John Ridley used Northup's words directly wherever possible, structuring the plot around the events described in his book. McQueen emphasized that the power of the film lay in Northup's first-hand account, so the film's dialogue, descriptions of violence, and even its hopeful ending closely mirrored the original text. This dedication to historical accuracy gave 12 Years a Slave a unique poignancy, with viewers knowing they were experiencing history as it was lived. Despite the film's epic scale and intricate historical detail, the entire production of 12 Years a Slave was completed in just 35 days. Tight budget constraints required an accelerated schedule, leaving little room for retakes or rehearsal. Steve McQueen worked with a highly precise vision, ensuring that every day on set was carefully planned to maximize time. Despite the fast pace, the cast and crew achieved a level of emotional depth and historical authenticity rarely seen in such large productions. This demanding schedule further underscores the dedication of everyone involved, many of whom felt the importance of the story justified the grueling pace. Director Steve McQueen is known for his use of long, unbroken takes, and 12 Years a Slave is no exception. One of the most notable examples in the film is the scene where Solomon is left hanging from a tree for what feels like an eternity. Instead of cutting frequently or using music to heighten emotions, McQueen forces the audience to sit with the unbearable tension and discomfort. The decision to hold a take made viewers feel as though they were witnessing the horror in real time, unable to look away. By using long takes, McQueen emphasized the relentlessness of slavery and created moments of undeniable emotional impact that deeply resonated with audiences. In 12 Years a Slave, music is used sparingly, with McQueen often opting for silence to carry key moments. His decision to reduce the score allowed the sound design, like the crunch of leaves underfoot or the cries of the enslaved, to take center stage, heightening the sense of realism. McQueen wanted audiences to confront the raw emotion of each scene without being guided by a manipulative musical score. When music is used, such as in Hans Zimmer's haunting soundtrack, it serves as a subtle undercurrent rather than a dominant feature. This deliberate restraint further strengthened the film's authentic and sobering tone. As one of the most tragically brutalized characters in the film, Patsy represents the complete dehumanization inherent to slavery. From her physical abuse at the hands of Edwin Epps to the jealousy-fueled wrath of Mistress Epps, Patsy's suffering embodies the horrors faced by enslaved women during that era. Her request for Solomon to end her life is one of the most harrowing scenes in the film. Despite the pain her character endures, Patsy also symbolizes resilience, clinging to moments of humanity, like picking the most cotton in the field to seek validation or small rewards. Through Patsy, McQueen forces viewers to confront the depth of slavery's impact on both body and spirit. One of the film's most haunting and visually arresting scenes is when Solomon is left hanging by a noose, balancing on his tiptoes to stay alive. Actors and crew work to ensure the physicality and emotion of the scene were as real as possible. Chiwetel Ejiofor stood on a small platform for most of the filming, with the noose carefully positioned to minimize actual danger. The painstaking realism of this scene conveys Solomon's constant state of precarious survival and serves as a brutal reminder of the daily risks enslaved people faced. The suffocating silence and mundanity of the other enslaved individuals going about their work, unable to help, made the scene even more devastating. McQueen challenged himself and his actors by staging complex scenes in a single continuous take. For example, the unrelenting whipping of Patsy was captured in one single sequence, allowing the actors' raw emotions to unfold in real time. McQueen believed this technique heightened the intensity of each moment, making the pain and suffering feel immediate and unavoidable. Each long take required meticulous choreography and intense preparation from the cast, but it also allowed them to fully inhabit their characters without interruption. These uninterrupted scenes created some of the film's most visceral and emotionally draining moments, cementing 12 Years a Slave as a cinematic tour de force. 12 Years a Slave achieved a monumental milestone by becoming the first film directed by a black filmmaker, Steve McQueen, to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. The film earned 9 nominations and won 3 Oscars, including Best Supporting Actress for Lupita Nyong'o and Best Adapted Screenplay for John Ridley. McQueen's Best Picture win was a groundbreaking moment in Hollywood, spotlighting the lack of recognition previously given to black filmmakers and their narratives. In his acceptance speech, McQueen dedicated the award to the millions who suffered and died under slavery, stating, "Everyone deserves not just to survive, but to live." The acclaim and awards solidified the film's place as one of the most important historical dramas ever made. 12 Years a Slave is more than just a film. It's a profound, unflinching account of resilience, humanity, and the atrocities of slavery that still echo through history today. Thanks to Steve McQueen's fearless direction, incredibly committed performances from the cast, and the dedication to historical accuracy, this film stands as one of the most critically acclaimed and culturally significant works in cinema. From the hardships of filming in Louisiana to the emotional toll the project took on the cast, 12 Years a Slave demonstrates the power of storytelling to honor the past and educate future generations. Its raw authenticity demands that we look back, reflect, and never forget the horrors that come from dehumanization and systemic injustice. Which of these behind-the-scenes facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the most influential films of all time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.